I'm here to talk about a brand new thing in the SCA. We call it the Wunderkammer. It is basically a pop-up museum of actual medieval artifacts, reproduction books, and hard-to-find research books that is going to be on display at Gulf Wars on the Wednesday of the war. It is so official that they actually, oops, sorry, trying to paste it here. Oh, I didn't copy it. They actually have it on their website as one of their features. It's on the schedule already. And let me tell you when this stuff came out. Well, I did a little happy dance because I've been working on this for over 4 years. It's been a dream for a while. And today I'm going to talk about what it is, what it's not, or at least not yet, what we hope it will become, how you can enjoy it, how you can help, including how to display your collection at the Wunderkammer, and important considerations when you're starting to have your collection, because that's apparently something that some people are kind of starting to get into. The SCA has been around for 55 years or thereabouts, and we've had some folks that have managed to scrape enough together to get some small artifacts and have some really cool stuff, and they like to show it off. Okay, so what is the Wunderkammer? Like I mentioned very briefly, it is a pop-up museum and research library. It's going to be at Gulf Wars on the Wednesday of the war. If you're familiar with the site, it's going to be in the small room behind the stage that is in the site's dining hall. It's going to be on Wednesday. It's on the schedule for Gulf Wars. You can see it there, you know when to come. We are going to have actual medieval artifacts, not things that people made for the SCA, not reproductions like that, not yet anyway. We're going to have, like I said, some rare reference material, hard to find stuff, things that sometimes you can't even get through interlibrary loan. We're going to have some reproduction books, which are very useful, maybe not as useful as having the real thing, but let's face it, we're not the Metropolitan Museum. And like I said, maybe more to come. What happened to get this going? Well, at a number of classes that I've been to at Gulf Wars, and occasionally otherwise, I have seen the instructors bring their own little artifacts that they had. I know Duke, Sir, Master, yada yada, Laureate Sylvestris over in Glenavon has a number of small castings that he brings to his casting class. I've seen fabric swashes, a couple of period fabric swashes that are regularly on display at Linen Garb when they're merchanting, and a number of other things. And I've also known about some things that I didn't get to see because I couldn't make the class, scheduling issues or whatever. And, it's hard to track somebody down, even if you really want to see this cool thing that they brought for their class and you didn't make it. It's so hard to find somebody. So the thought occurred to me, hey, let's get them together. We don't run down people and say, hey, can you show me this project you made in ANS? They have a display. So why not have a display of the actual artifacts? And thus the idea was born. And it's been a crazy little notion in my mind for years. And about 4 years ago, I put out a simple survey. There was a huge response. People were really fascinated. I put together a group of people, and then we got COVIDed. And then we got COVIDed. And then we got COVIDed. So this year, for Gulf Wars 30, we are finally on green light, totally official, on the website, everything. Yay! So we are ecstatic that we're going to be able to do this. I have not seen that there has ever been any other artifact museum in the SCA. There may have been, I don't know. Maybe the first. Pretty cool. Why do I call it the Wunderkammer? Where did we come up with that name? Well, it's actually a period. It was the early version of what ended up evolving into modern museums. Wunderkammer, the words are basically wonder chamber, camera, chamber, chamber of wonders in English. And yes, it is related to the Latin word chimera, meaning chamber later in history became a camera, because the small area that was enclosed from film and the light, also after period a camera obscura, where they had a small room with a lens that you could see what was going on outside projected on the other wall, upside down, of course, but they figured that out. This is going to be the very first time we've done this. We are learning as we go. We are inventing it, making it up. It's a great team, and we are dedicated to trying to make sure that we have 1 hour to set things up and 1 hour to tear things down to maximize the amount of time things will be on display. So we've had to come up with a website that's a database, and it's also going to let us do another number of other things. I'll get into that in a minute. What is it not? I think I mentioned a second ago, maybe it was just before we started, but this is not going to be the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The picture behind me, no, but it's going to be some cool stuff. There's a number of coins that are supposed to be coming. There are some small finds, like a medieval thimble. It's a mudlarking find, a small coin scale, a number of things. They're all going to be very interesting. And also, there's already a stack of books lined up. If you can look up in the chat, there's some pictures of just mine. Reproduction books, like I said, hard to find reference books. But it's not going to be, like I said, the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It is currently not any official part of an SCA group or event. It's not an office. This was by mutual agreement with the autocrats of Gulf Wars. It's kind of like we have training wheels. We have to figure out what we're doing first and how to do it. And so that gets us around some of the administrative headaches that we would have had otherwise. This is not, and will probably never be, a natural history museum. For one thing, there are a number of things that, if you look at, say, one of the most popular images of a Wunderkammer, featured prominently up toward the ceiling is the bill from a sawtooth shark. Well, that's illegal. They're endangered. You cannot own one. And it would be very tempting. In fact, I've seen one recently in a mundane store that you know, I could have bought it. I could have bought it for $50, but no, it's illegal. I thought about it, but then I found out it was illegal. So that's something we're going to cover a little bit later, talking about things that are illegal and problems. This is not going to be a lending library. We're going to have a number of books that you can look at, you know, snap some pictures of things that you need for your research, get the ISBN, get the bibliography, that kind of thing. But they're not going anywhere. And remember, these are your friends' books. If you perhaps can look them up or talk to them later, maybe they'll let you borrow it or look at it longer. But please, you know, keep in mind that other people are trying to look too. This is not currently going to be an SCA artifact museum. It may be eventually. Hopefully we'll be able to have that as a functionality once we've got our feet under us. This may eventually become a registry for any antiques and private collections. That would serve a number of really good purposes, but that would be a huge quantum leap in the functionality. And that would basically entail us having to become a separate 501c3 and get some funding and staff, because that would be a massive undertaking. Also, this is not going to be a multi-day exhibit for a number of reasons, largely having to do with the facilities on site. We have to have something that is weather tight, weather protected, and to have multi-day, it would have to be securable, and we just really can't do that in any place that is there. So for the foreseeable future, and possibly going on, that is going to be a one-day exhibit. Plus, you don't want to take up people's time too much. I mean, this is a work. You gotta have fun. one day we do hope to create the Wunderkammer project, as we're calling the back end, have that be a free resource to the SCA forever, so that Wunderkammers can be set up at different events throughout the known world. It's not going to be something that we would ever charge the SCA for. We've already discussed, the logistics of that, and we're all SCAers, and that's just not something we're willing to do. If we can reach out and get some funding by helping other organizations, and they pay us a little fee or something, maybe we can grow the Wunderkammer concept that way. Who knows? Future is full of surprises. We do hope and plan for what we build to become a registry resource that will support arts and sciences fairs and displays. We hope that that will help promote the arts and sciences in the SCA and give the folks that run them a better way to show what's going on at the fairs, and let people see the amazing stuff that our artisans can make. One day it may become an online museum. Let's face it, if we have the pictures and the descriptions, that's kind of a no-brainer, and we're working toward that. A lot of it depends on hosting and bandwidth and that kind of thing. And we also, as long as we have the permission of the collectors who are just letting us display their objects, we're hoping that this can become a resource where somebody can say, oh, look, that's cool, I saw it and it was here. I can contact the Wunderkammer, they'll get in touch with the owner and ask them if they're willing to loan it, bring it, teach about it, etc. And not have a million people just peppering you with questions all the time. So we want to be a resource for that as well. If you are so inclined, you are invited to join us on the Gulf Wars Wunderkammer Facebook group, which I am posting right now. There are questions, please answer them, and I will let you right on in. And if you are interested in volunteering and such, please take the opportunity to sign up on our website. Like I said, we're official. We're on the Gulf Wars website. We're on the Gulf Wars schedule. We're going forward. It's the dream that I've had for several years, and I'm super excited about it. If you're coming to Gulf Wars, you want to come and see the Wunderkammer and enjoy what we have, please remember to bring your site token and an ID. That's for the collector's peace of mind. We're going to write down site token numbers and ID, just your name, get your signature, so that we know who's been there. In case something might fall off the table, we can't find it, and we think maybe somebody may have wandered off with it before we find it. We have a short list of people that we can contact, but then we find it, so it's okay. In reality, we know that sometimes people come to large events that aren't as well integrated into the SCA family, so we do have to be careful. And we ask that if you do come, help support us, keep an eye out, just help us keep an eye and make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. We plan to have information printed out about each item. We should have QR codes so that you can scan the QR code, pull up that information, maybe some more information, maybe some links, that kind of thing. We're not going to be loaning the books that we have there, but please, as long as there's no sign that says no pictures, feel free to take pictures. Take pictures of a few pages that you need for your research. Get the ISBN, get the bibliography, but be mindful of the other folks too. I'm sure there'll be more than a few people coming through because we're only there a day. So how can you help? How can you register your display items, etc.? The Wunderkammer website, which I posted a second ago, that is going to be our home central for getting all that taken care of. You can volunteer there. You can upload pictures and register your objects that you want to display there. We ask, please, if you can and you want to be a volunteer, please go ahead and try registering there. We will have that aspect available on site, but it's like I said, just for the peace of mind of the folks that are the collectors that are willing to share their objects with us. We want to make sure that we have a list of everybody who was there and responsible. We are working with the Gulf Wars staff. We should be able to have the hours worked by the volunteers count toward their Gulf Wars hours, which would, of course, then mean that their local group gets a share of the funds from the war. That's how they work all that. So it's going to help your local group if you volunteer. And if that's not going to work, we will let you know before time if that's a consideration for you. Now, some important thoughts on collecting, and I have to tell you right up front, I'm not an expert on this. I only ran across the seriousness of these concerns when I was talking about the Wunderkammer, and I've been doing some research. In fact, I'm going to be doing a couple of classes at Gulf Wars that I'm currently researching. It's a big concern to make sure that you are collecting the items that you have in your collection in an ethical, legal manner. Now, it's a hugely complex issue that boils down to a simple rule of thumb. Do your best, make a good faith effort, do the due diligence to try to make sure that what you are obtaining is legal and ethical. It's pretty simple, but it's also complex. The devil's in the details. It involves the interests of individuals, archaeologists, historians, educators, society at large, museums, cultures, faiths, nations. It's kind of this crazy mix of the good, the bad, and the ugly of how things happen in the world of antiquities. The good, obvious, is it benefits everyone to see things from the past. You get a better understanding of history, social issues at the time, and how they can apply now, the growth of humanity itself, context, appreciation of cultural richness, material culture, technologies, and how they grew and developed. It bridges barriers, it reduces otherness. It's the reason museums themselves exist, to share that information, that knowledge, that sense of humanity. But here's the rub. There is a significant trafficking of illegally obtained, unethically obtained artifacts, and you have to be very careful that you don't support that and that you don't get into something that is not something that anybody should have. There are things that have been stolen from graves and tombs. There are looters of every form and fashion. There are terrorists and organized crime gangs that go in and steal stuff and sell it online or through their own network. Wars are one of the sources of terrible, terrible artifacts that get distributed and sold. And it supports that terrorism or that organized crime or that war. The looting of areas where conflicts have been is known throughout history, but we're growing up as humanity and we realize how serious that problem is. It is intimately associated with war crimes, ethnic cleansings, holocausts. The concepts are mind-blowing. I mean, you don't just go in and steal stuff from somebody's church, but sometimes people go in and steal stuff from somebody's church, and then they sell it to get money for their bad projects. And you don't want to own that. You don't want to support it. So do your due diligence. Be careful. How do you work to avoid that? It's kind of like how you cite a restaurant. Location, location, location. Well, for an artifact, it's provenance, provenance, provenance. Always try to find out as much as you can about where it's been, who's owned it, how long they've owned it, how far back it goes, how far back it's been in a collection. If you can find out where it was found, all the background information makes a good solid provenance is what you want. The more you can get, the better off you are. The perfect provenance would probably be, it was made by thus and such person in thus and so year and location for thus and such person who had it until this time, who then willed it to their grandson and on up, and then it was sold to a museum, and you can't beat that. That is 100% rock solid, and you'll never have a problem with it. But if you're looking at a nice little statue of a goddess that came from South America, you could have something that's highly illegal. Don't go for that. Be careful. You have to worry about making sure that you're not running afoul of little teeny tiny minutia, like the 1954 Hague Convention for the Protection of Cultural Property in the Event of Armed Conflict, and the 1970 UNESCO Convention, Great Britain's Portable Antiquities Scheme, and various national and international import-export laws. It is not a simple subject. I would highly recommend, if you have an hour or two to kill, take a look at part of a conference that is available online on Vimeo. It was held by the Association of Art Museum Directors. And it was, like, from what I understand, a week-long conference. And this is one of the presentations about the shifting challenges in the protection of archaeological heritage. I have a link for that association, a link to the UK portable antiquities, and the eBay UK discussion of that portable antiquities scheme, posting those links. One thing that I found reassuring, actually, was that as I was researching this, not only did I see a number of antiquities dealers that had extensive information on their websites and provided extensive information about what they sold, but making commitments, telling about involvement in different organizations and such, basically reassuring the buyer that they are on the up and up. They're not selling things that are going to finance somebody's terrorist activities or go to their criminal cartel. The portable antiquities scheme saw that items like that were being sold on eBay, and so they partnered with eBay, and they are working together to identify objects that might be at issue and taking them down. They're advising the sellers that this could be a problem. They're giving a chance to explain it, etc. Likewise, eBay UK is discussing in even more detail some of the considerations that they go through and that they have to consider, and they give links to other information. So do your due diligence, do your research, check out the seller, check out the item as well as you can. Make sure that you feel comfortable that it's not going to be an object that's going to be at issue for confiscation, repatriation. You don't want to end up in jail. It could happen. Be careful. Do your due diligence, and you should be fine. So in summary, hit on what the Wunderkammer is: a pop-up museum and library, research library. Don't borrow books. It's not the Met yet, maybe, who knows? But there are a number of things that we're hoping to do to support the SCA and historical education and knowledge in general. We hope it'll become a resource that reaches far beyond what we even dream right now. We hope you can come to Gulf Wars and enjoy it. Come see the artifacts. Please help if you can. If you have something to display, please. We're looking for displays. This is a group effort. We're just the facilitators. We're depending on you as not only the people who want to come see it, but the people who have knowledge of somebody who might have something that could be displayed. Ask them, let them know we're here. Get the word out. And just be careful when you're collecting. So Once again, thank you to the Royal University of Middleton and Baron Andreas for hosting this talk. We certainly appreciate it.